Loren Lasher, and I'd like to welcome you to Let's Juggle. In learning to juggle, not only will you master a new skill, but you're going to have a lot of personal satisfaction. Juggling is non-competitive, it's safe, it's balanced body, eye and hand coordination will be developed, wrist strength will be improved. It's an exercise that's painless. I think you'll enjoy it. Learning to juggle has more to do with an attitude than any innate ability. You're not given the chromosomes or the genes to be a good juggler. Juggling comes from persistence and determination and a willingness to pick up the balls one more time than you drop them. A juggler's try means you work at it until you get it. That willingness, that dealing with failure, that enthusiasm is going to carry you through not only in mastering juggling, but in conquering any challenge in your life. The equipment for the beginning juggler might vary. Tennis balls are a proper size, however they're a little light. We've taken the tennis balls, filled them with rice, and then wrapped them with vinyl tape. Bean bags are ideal in the sense that they fall into your hand and they don't roll once they're dropped. How to use this tape? The best way to use this instructional tape is to play the section through once. View, visualize, and see what we're trying to get across. Then rewind the portion, play it through a second time, and do the activity along with the instruction. Work at it about 20 times or until you feel like you've got it under control, and then move on to the next section. The basic pattern, the basic move for juggling is one called the cascade. We're going to break it down into 4 easy to master, easy to achieve stages. Let's begin with stage number 1. Let's get started with home position stage 1. What we want to do is to find a spot and minimize some of the distractions. Get rid of the kids, get rid of the dogs, and remove any breakable items. Start by putting your feet shoulders distance apart, your body erect and relaxed, your arms by your side, bend your forearms up, and imagine that you're holding a tray of food. This will establish the tray plane. Then, imagine that you're holding a frame that's going through your hands and a little higher than head height. This will establish the wall plane. So home position is made up of this. You're standing erect and comfortable, your feet shoulders distance apart, your arms parallel to the ground, establishing the tray plane, imagining that you're holding another plane, the wall plane. This is called home position. Stage 2, the one-ball toss. The object of this lesson is to get you to throw the ball properly for juggling. In many other sports, you bend your wrist and snap the ball off your fingers to make a throw. In juggling, it's radically different. What we want to do is to cradle the ball to start out with. And as the ball will come out of our hand, it's somewhat of a pop toss. It doesn't roll off our fingers, and there's very little motion to the ball. What you're going to want to do is to throw the ball across your body in an X shape. The ball will peek out about 1 foot higher than your shoulder opposite the hand that's throwing. So what you're going to do is you're somewhat going to toss underneath, the ball will come up, toss underneath, almost if you could imagine a figure 8 that we're going to establish. So in getting started, we want to get to home position, arms relaxed. As you throw, there's a little wrist movement, a little arm movement, and you're not going to go any higher than your chest, and you're going to catch the ball in this plane where your arm is relaxed. So it goes across and across. And as we throw, we're going to say the word one. One, 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 one. What this does is it gives our brain the signal to throw the ball. You're going to see it's going to be more important further on. What you're going to want to do is to throw the ball across your body in an X shape. The ball will peek out about 1 foot higher than your shoulder opposite the hand that's throwing. Stage 3, the exchange. This is where it gets exciting. I want you to be careful now to watch your language. No negative talk. A lot of people, when they get to this point, will say, oh no, now it's going to get tough. You've been doing a good job, and I want you to be encouraging to yourself, as I know you're doing well. Here's what we're going to do. Grab 2 balls and hold them in your hands and come to home position. Before we do anything, I want you to know what the rhythm is. So swing the balls back and forth, and as you're doing them, count. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Somewhat like a march. This will help get the rhythm. Now what we're going to do is to take the ball that's in our less dominant hand and scoop toss it across our body. As it reaches the peak of its arc, which is about a foot higher than your shoulder, scoop toss the second ball underneath so the balls go in a crisscross pattern across your body, and be sure to count as you're doing it. Keep your eyes about the height of the arch. Let's take a look at it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now some of you might be having a hard time throwing that second ball out of your hand. Here's a clue that will help you. You have to learn to throw the balls before you can learn to catch them, so don't worry about the catch. In fact, let's take one time where you just throw the ball up, count, throw the second ball up, count 2, and let the balls fall to the ground. It looks like this. 1, 2. And you just let them go. By doing this, you get the throw, you get the feeling of what it's like to release them out of your hands. Let's take a look at this again. Start out, establish home position. Cradle the balls in your hand. Scoop toss them across, counting out loud. The count, by the way, gives your mind the signal to throw the ball. And then let the balls fall in your hand. Here we go. 1, 2. 1, 2. Scoop toss it across our body. As it reaches the peak of its arc, which is about a foot higher than your shoulder, scoop toss the second ball underneath so the balls go in a crisscross pattern across your body, and be sure to count as you're doing it. Oh boy, here we are, 3-ball juggling. I can't wait, stage 4. You've been doing so well, your attitude has been so positive, we're progressing along nicely. Keep the faith. Here's what we're going to do. In 3-ball juggling, we're going to start out in home position. Put 2 balls in your less dominant hand. What you're going to do is scoop toss the ball across your body. As the first ball reaches the peak of its arc, toss, scoop the second ball across your body, up also, and say 2 as you do that. When the second ball reaches up there, scoop, toss the third ball and say 3. What's going to happen, the balls will be taking a pattern that go across your body and somewhat forming an X. You might want to focus in on the peak of the balls on the arc in this little area up here. By the arc, or by the curve that the balls are making, you'll know where the balls are going to be landing. Something that may happen as you start, you may throw the balls out further in front of you, and you'll be doing a thing called the juggler's sprint. And that's where you chase the balls to keep them under control. You might face a wall, juggle close to a wall, to help you stop this activity. In addition, you might want to set a goal for yourself as to how many tosses you're going to do. Start out with a goal of 4 tosses, then progress on to 7 tosses, 20, and so on. Let's take a look at it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. The counting is very important because it gives your mind the signal, the verbal clue, to go ahead and toss the balls. A lot of times people will have trouble throwing the second or third ball up, and invariably they're not speaking as they do it. So be sure to count. Let's take a look at it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Might be a little bit of a trick catching 2 balls in your hand when you finish, but you'll quickly master that. We're most concerned about getting the throws up first. Let's do a little recap. Start with 2 balls in your less dominant hand. Be sure to count out loud and scoop toss the ball across your body. When it reaches the peak of its arc, scoop toss the second ball underneath, and so on. Set a goal for yourself, keep juggling, and keep smiling. Scoop toss the ball across your body. As the first ball reaches the peak of its arc, toss, scoop the second ball across your body, up also, and say 2 as you do that. When the second ball reaches up there, scoop, toss the third ball and say 3. What's going to happen? The balls will be taking a pattern that go across your body and somewhat forming an X. Before we start doing tricks, it's important to solidify the cascade. There are a number of activities I'll suggest that you can do that would solidify your cascade rhythm. One thing you might try, kneeling down and then coming back up. Juggle to music. It helps get rhythm and beat down. Try holding a conversation while you're juggling. Try joggling. That's where you run and juggle at the same time. Try sitting in a chair. Teach a friend how to juggle. Do anything you need to do, but practice, because practice makes perfect. You've now learned the cascade, the basic pattern of all juggling. This is a time for you to call your relatives, show your friends, and put on demonstrations wherever you can. You're going to have fun with this. And as you get the cascade mastered, move on to our next section, tricks. Siamese twin juggling is ideal to do with a friend. It's great for beginners because it gives you an opportunity to concentrate on just one hand at a time. Here's what we're going to do is we're going to get side by side and establish home position like you did in regular cascade. We're going to start out with just one ball going across from hand to hand. Are you ready, Terry?
Ready.
All right, here you go.
1.
Good. 1.
1.
Good. 1. All right, let's go for 2. You throw 1 and I'll throw 2. You ready?
Okay, ready? 1.
2.
1.
2. Ready for 3?
Yeah.
All right, let's go up to 5.
All right.
Here we go.
Ready? 1,
2,
3,
4.
5.
Great. Find a friend and you give it a try. Ta-da! Finishes are like punctuation at the end of a sentence. They finish the action in a definite way. The show finish is an ideal ending to any juggling volley. Here's what we're going to do. While you're juggling, take one ball, toss it up nice and high from your right hand. While the ball is in the air, transfer the ball from your left hand to your right hand, leaving your left hand free. Then in one smooth action, finish and catch the ball with a bow. While you're juggling, take one ball, toss it up high and straight. While the ball is in the air, bring your hands together, transferring the ball from your left hand to your right hand, leaving your left hand free. As the ball comes down, finish with a clean swoop and a bow. When you were learning the cascade, you were learning to throw the ball underneath. We call that an underthrow. It was a scoop toss kind of action. In the next series of tricks, we're going to learn a throw called the overthrow. Normally what we've been doing is throwing the ball underneath. Now we're going to throw it kind of on the outside of our hand over. These are going to be called variations on the cascade. Normally while you were doing the cascade, you were making an underthrow, throwing the ball underneath and across your body. Now what we're going to do is to take one ball, a particular colored ball, and throw it over the top of the other two balls. That's called a one-over. Once you've mastered it with one hand, then master it with the other. While you're doing the cascade, take one ball and throw it on the outside over the others. Once you've mastered it with one hand, then learn it with the other. Tennis is another variation on the cascade. What we'll do in tennis is take one ball, like you did in the one over, and toss that ball over. As it goes to the other hand, you'll take that same ball and toss it back. In a continuous motion, the ball will go back and forth over the top of the other two balls. To do this trick effectively, you're going to have to bring your regular cascade of the other two balls just a little bit lower than normal. This is called tennis. In this example, as the red ball comes to my right hand, I'll throw it on the outside over the other two balls. As it reaches my left hand, I'll throw it back over the other two balls to my right hand again, continuously throwing it over the top from my right hand back to my left hand. In the half reverse cascade, every time the ball comes to one hand, you'll throw the ball over the top. Once you've mastered this with one hand, then learn it with the other. In the half reverse cascade, one hand constantly throws over the top of the other two balls. When you've mastered it with one hand, then learn it with the other hand also. This is somewhat like a half throw. What you're doing is you're throwing the ball over the top, and it's as if you have a hoop right in the center, and you're tossing the balls into the hoop. It's like doubling the half reverse cascade that you've been doing, but you're now doing it with both hands. As you've been learning these tricks, you've been showing a lot of persistence and working real hard. I'm real proud of you. Keep up the good work. In the full reverse cascade, both hands constantly throw the balls over the top in an overthrow. Imagine a hoop in the center that you're throwing the balls into. The one-up is just like the one-over, but instead of throwing it to the opposite hand, you catch it with the same hand that throws it. Trick. Once you've mastered it with one hand, you learn it with the other. The one-up is just like the one-over, but instead of throwing it to the opposite hand, you catch it with the same hand that throws it. Once you've mastered it with one hand, then learn it with the other. Variation on the way you've been catching and throwing the ball is a move we call the claw. Here's what you're going to do. Rather than catching the ball, you're going to scoop down on the ball as it comes across in front of you. This move is quite fast and sometimes will send the ball flying, so be sure to remove any breakable items that might be around you. Let's see it in one stage. Here's what we're going to do. Do your regular cascade, and as the red ball comes around, scoop down on it with your right hand. Here it comes, scoop down. Here it comes, scoop down. Once you've learned it with one hand, then learn it with the other. Scoop down, scoop down, scoop down. As you learn this trick, build up slowly and give yourself lots of practice. With the claw, you're going to scoop down on the ball with an open palm position and then toss the ball up from that same open palm position. You're scooping down and then scooping up, leaving your palm open-faced. mastered the cascade, and now I'm throwing something new at you. It's called the columns, an interesting variation where you're going to be juggling two balls in one hand. There are two variations of the columns that might take place. One is what we call parallel. Parallel is when you throw one ball up and you throw the next ball right next to it, as if they're going in parallel columns next to each other. Another variation on this is what we call cyclic, where you could throw the balls either from the inside out in a circle motion or outside in. They would look like this. There we go, inside out, and then outside in. Once you've learned these tricks with one hand, then master them with the other hand, and you'll be ready for variations of the columns. Parallel columns, you're going to be throwing the balls up and moving your hand from one area to the other. It's like there's a straight column and you're moving your hand from one side to the other. The ball goes up, and then you toss the other ball next to it. In the cyclic pattern, you're tossing the ball up and over, moving your hand as the ball comes around from the outside, catching it on the outside, and throwing it from the inside. Outside, inside. In traditional columns, you'll be juggling two balls in one hand in a parallel pattern. The other ball will be going straight up and down. To get started, throw two balls from the outside up. When they reach the peak, throw the third ball from the center, like this. There it goes. Once you've mastered doing it well with one hand, then move the two balls to the other hand. Start also, two balls on the outside. When they reach the peak, throw the third ball up. You've been doing so well on learning new tricks. Keep it up. With traditional columns, you'll be throwing two balls on the outside. You're going to move your hand to the center and throw the third ball up the center. Then move your hands out to the outside again and catch the two balls that are coming down. A variation on the columns, which is easy to do and looks great, is a move we call walking your dog. Here's what you do. With two balls in your one hand, you do the parallel columns. As the inside ball is going up and down, you take the third ball and guide it as if it was on a string. Walking your dog. It's easy to do. You try it. With walking your dog, you're doing a parallel columns in one hand. The other hand will take the third ball and guide it above the inside ball as if it were on a string. A variation of the columns, which combines cascade and the columns, is a move we call figure eight. Here's what you're going to do. Throw two balls up, and as they go up, you take the third ball and throw it across. This one's a little tricky because you're going to be switching hands. First one hand will be doing two balls, and then the next. It'll take a little practice, but I know you can get it. The figure eight will take a little concentration. You're throwing two balls up on the outside, and you're taking the third ball and throwing it across, and it goes over the top, and then back down on the outside, and then up, underneath, over, and across. Keep working at it. You'll get it. A good finish to a volley with the columns is a move we call fireworks. Here's what you do. You take one ball and toss it up nice and straight. As it's peaking, you take the two balls from the outside and toss them across. Now there's a trick. You don't want them to hit each other, so throw one ball lower and the other one a little higher. It's a great finish to any volley with the columns. With the fireworks, you throw one ball up in the center. As it peaks, you take the two balls on the outside and throw them across in nice arches. Congratulations. You've just learned a new skill and much, much more. You know what it's like to pick up the balls one more time than you drop them. You've learned a juggler's try, which means you work at it until you get it. Keep juggling, keep working at learning new things, and apply a juggler's try to other areas of your life. Feel free to write me a note and let me know how you enjoyed this tape. Also, you might want to join the International Jugglers Association. Meet with other jugglers and share what you've learned and what they know. Whatever you do, stay positive and keep smiling.